forget to like and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell
so we can go to college and get more knowledge.
Welcome back in the place to be with the CBDC Assets Group. Thank you for being a part of the group. Jim Rickards here, an American lawyer, economist, investment banker, speaker, media commentator, and author on matters of finance and precious metals. This guy right here is an OG in the game, if you don't know. He's held senior positions at Citibank, Long-Term Capital Management, and Caxton Associates. As general counsel for the hedge fund Long-Term Capital Management, he successfully negotiated the U.S. $3.6 billion rescue of the firm via the U.S. Federal Reserve in 1998. Rickards worked on Wall Street for 35 years. Later, Rickards became a senior managing director at Tangent Capital Partners, LLC, a merchant bank based in New York City. He is also the senior managing director for marketing intelligence at Omnis Inc., a technical, professional, and scientific consulting firm in McLean, Virginia. On March 24, 2009, Rickards presented his view at a symposium at St. Johns Hopkins University that the U.S. dollar was facing imminent hyperinflation and was vulnerable to attack from foreign governments through the accumulation of gold and the establishment of a new global currency. In 2009, this guy was saying this. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he also advises the U.S. Department of Defense intelligence community. This guy is super duper connected. He's involved in everything that happens. He knows people. He says when he wants to find out what global matters are going on, he hops on his jet and flies over there and finds out with the bankers themselves. So I just want to give you some insight to what this guy's saying. And again, here's another person who studies macroeconomics talking about the SDR and how they could use it in multiple different ways. In the first part, it was about how the government could use the SDR and the IMF could use it. But in this one, it's more about how Russia and China could use an SDR to circumvent the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar. So it's very interesting. Check it out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that Belango Dango so you can be notified when I drop new content.
Jim Rickards joins me now. He's the author of the bestseller, The Road to Ruin, and an editor at Strategic Intelligence. So happy to have you on the show today. You know, we're seeing Russia continuing to get hit with sanctions. The big question here, are they making a dent? Are they making a difference?
Allison, maybe a small dent, but not a large one. The Russian economy is the 12th largest in the world, one of the 3 largest oil exporters, major natural resource exporters. So they're having some effect, but their central bank has managed the situation very well. And I think it's important to know that this is a two-way street. The idea that the U.S. is sort of omnipotent and throws sanctions on Russia to get what they want, it's a little truth in that, but Russia is pushing back. Putin's not the kind of guy to sort of stand still and take it. So their response is asymmetric, meddling in the 2016 election, cyber financial warfare, some sanctions on the U.S., and most importantly, dumping treasuries and buying gold to get out from under the dollar hegemony. So this is a financial war. It's been going on for a long time.
Let's talk more about this strategy here where Russia's really ramping up these purchases of gold. Official data showing that Russia added almost 29 tons of gold to its reserves in July. The central bank now worth an estimated $76 billion. How much does this help shield Russia from these sanctions?
It helps a lot. And the important thing, the July increase caught a lot of attention, I think, for 2 reasons. Number one, they passed China, so that's a big deal. And they're getting close to 2,000 tons, which is a nice round number. But it's important to understand this has been going on for 10 years. You go back 10 years, Russia's gold reserves were 600 tons. Today, they're almost 2,000 tons. So they've tripled their gold reserves in the past 10 years. And the gold market's funny. It's liquid. You can always buy or sell, but it's also thinly traded. So you have to watch out for market impacts. So Russia, what they do, they have what's called a standing order. They just tell their dealers and banks, look, I want to increase my gold reserves, but I don't want too much market impact. So whether it's 10 tons, 20 tons, just keep buying it. They've been very transparent, which is smart, so they don't shock the market. But, 10 to 30 tons a month for 10 years, that's how they got up to 2,000 tons. So this has been going on for a very long time. In 2009, I facilitated a financial war game for the Pentagon, and we warned the Pentagon about this. We said, this is happening, it's going to happen. We got laughed at by the Harvard professors, but it's turned out to be exactly right.
Okay, so as we see Russia pile on this gold and sell U.S. treasuries, what are the implications for the dollar as the world's reserve currency?
Well, the dollar's position, is very strong. It's about 60% of global reserves, 80% of global payments, and close to 100% of all oil pricing. So you look at that and say, well, this is impregnable. You can't take it down. But you could have said something similar about sterling in 1913, and within a year, with the outbreak of World War I, sterling was already in long-term decline, and by 1944 with Bretton Woods, it was almost a footnote. So these things can change. They don't change overnight, but they can change quickly. What's important is that Russia's adding gold reserves, but so is China, Turkey, Iran, and a lot of other countries. This is what I call the new axis of gold. The U.S. I talked to the Pentagon, the Treasury, and the Fed. The Pentagon gets it, but they don't have any authority over the dollar. The Treasury seems to be asleep at the switch. The intelligence community is kind of blasé. I talked to the highest-ranking economic officer in the intelligence community, and he said, somebody's got to own it, as if it were a yard sale or used furniture or something. But they're missing the bigger picture, which is that all these countries are trying to get out from under dollar hegemony, and that's going to happen.
And then there goes the power of the U.S. to impose these sanctions, right?
Correct, because if you, first of all, they're all building alternate payment systems. Even the German foreign minister the other day said Europe needs an alternate payment system. They could do cryptocurrencies. I'm not saying buy Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin at all. But you could create a new cryptocurrency with a distributed ledger with China and Putin. So imagine a Xi coin and a Putin coin. They could denominate it in SDRs. That's a special drawing right. That's the world money that comes from the IMF. They could back it up with gold. And notice that the dollar is not involved. Everything I just described doesn't involve the dollar. So that's why this could, if the U.S. doesn't reassert dollar hegemony, one good way to do that would be if the U.S. started buying more gold. I don't expect that to happen, but that would be, part of my advice. If the U.S. doesn't do that, again, this whole alternate system, it's being created now. This is not science fiction, but it could affect the dollar very, very rapidly.
Jim Rickards, editor of Strategic Intelligence and author of Road to Ruin, thanks so much for your analysis.